video of making a envelope scrapbook, photo album, journal, whatever you'd like to use it as, from the envelopes that were included in Paper Love's La Dolce Vita paper crafting book. So if I will link down part 1 where I created this style of envelope book, which is the easiest one. And then why this one that we're going to do today isn't super advanced. It is a little bit harder than that one. And it is based off of this one. If you want to see the other types of envelope books that I've made, you go down to part 1 and I kind of show all of them there. So this is the one that I'm basing it off of, and it opens up a little bit different. I might do a little bit different today, just based on how I'm feeling with the papers and what I have in this book, but it's going to be the same style where you have this nice spine here, whereas this one is just a simple kind of, I guess you would call it like a folio. You just kind of open it up and do what you need to do for that. Whereas this one has a spine, which gives you a lot more allowance to put lots of different things and do some different kind of interactive things on the inside. So we'll be making that today. Here are the envelopes that I have left from there. I'm going to try to use them all today, although I don't know if I will. Let's kind of go with the flow, see what fits as I start to build things. I did have to make a couple envelopes out of cardstock because this is very thin and I kind of want the book to be really solid so you can look through it a lot, use it, open and close it, and not worry about it get worn away. So I did just have these in my paper stash and I just made envelopes out of those. Now you will notice that it is slightly bigger than what comes in the La Dolce Vita, these envelopes. So just a heads up, La Dolce Vita envelopes are not exactly standard A6 size envelopes. They're just slightly smaller, but I think that's fine since this is going to be kind of like a cover. It gives a little bit of space there and allowance, so that's fine to do with that. So I have these two there. And then once I put the envelopes together into a book, I'll start to look through this right here with you and decide if I want to add any elements. I had mentioned this in my last video. I really add a few elements when I'm building the book, and then when I start to put photos in, I'll go back and start to add based on that. So it won't be fully embellished today, but I'll add a few things that kind of call out to me to add before I put my photos in it. So we're going to get started on this. For this project, you do need glue and a bone folder as well. And I just have handy with me little scissors in case I want to cut anything out on there. These pages are perforated. It's hard to see, but they are perforated, so they're easy to tear out, and a lot of the smaller elements are perforated as well, so there's not going to be a lot of cutting out from this, but I have that there with me. But that's all you need. So let's get started. First, I need to make the cover, the cardstock cover. And so I just have two envelopes that I made in A6 size so that you can put 4x6 photos in here or whatever elements that's going to be the size that you want to put in there eventually. And we're going to connect these two together by just tucking in here. Now to make the spine, I want to create a fold here and here, because this will glue over like this, and that will create an allowance for the spine and be able to put more envelopes in there. So I'm going to take my scoreboard and that allowance that I'm doing for the spine is just from where the triangle ends here and where that begins there. So I can just line this up here like that, and then I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to go ahead and score that straight down, and then this is already scored on that one. So let's fold that over, that nice and flat with the bone folder. Okay, so that's the first one. So let's just go back to this so I can kind of show you. So what's happening here is that's going to allow that to fold there and there. And then I'm just going to need to fold here. So to make sure it's fully accurate, I just do it right here like this. And then that's going to fold over. So now you can see there is that spine there for you. So what I need to glue is these things down here. So I'm going to put glue here. So I'm going to put a little glue here first. I'm going to tuck it in. Then I'm going to glue here and press it all down. So let's start with this. Just going to take a little bit of glue. But my thing seems to be clogged. Let me just take care of that real quick. Okay, should come out now. A little bit of glue like that, and then we're going to tuck it in to here. You just want to make sure that things line up there. I can actually take my scoreboard away. Make sure that we line up here, and that's able to be bent. And then just run the bone fold over to really mesh that together. Now we're going to do this part. So we're going to put glue here and here. And it doesn't have to be in any certain way that you put the glue. Just want to make sure it's a thin layer, because when you do the bone folder, it is going to spread that out. And I'm just going to turn it like this. And I'm going to run the bone folder over it. There. And then I like to just go over my edges one more time after I've done that, just to make sure that everything folds real nicely. And as simple as that. So now we have the cover with our spine made. So for the first one, as you can see with this, what I did is in this first slot, I tucked in an envelope. So let's pick one to tuck in there. So when it gets tucked in, you want to think about it like this, that this is going to show right there. I don't like that label showing like that, so I'm not going to go with that one. But I do like this with the stripe against the gingham pattern here. And then you have the wine. Now you do again have that label, but it's not as visible as the last one because it kind of blends in with the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this in. Now I pointed this out in the other video, but I'll mention it here in case you didn't see that other video yet. With the paper love envelopes, not all their lines where you're supposed to cut and fold are accurate. So they will show if they're not accurate. I think there were like maybe 2 or 3 envelopes where those weren't accurate and I had to kind of adjust, and you ended up seeing that line. But we can cover this up with an embellishment, and it's not a big deal. So to glue this in, we're just going to go ahead and put glue on this side. And because these envelopes are slightly smaller than regular A6 size, it's going to be pretty easy to slide that in there. Just want to make sure that our top and bottom are about the same so it looks nice and even. So I've placed that in there, and now I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure everything is pressed down really well. And if you can, tuck your bone folder inside here, and that really makes sure that everything gets pressed down. So there we go. The first part of that is done. So you can see here. Now let's move on to this. So what I did here was I tucked an envelope into here. So let's pick that out. And I think I like the idea of like the two front and back having like these stripe patterns. So I think I will go with this one here. Yeah, I like that. So again, same process. I'm gonna go ahead and put glue on the flap here, or the triangle. And we're going to tuck in and just make sure that our top and bottom are pretty even with that spacing here and there. Take my bone folder, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this together. There we go. So that's all tucked. This bone folder, just to say, is from college. I went to art school. That's where I got my degree in Bachelor of Fine Arts, and I took a bookmaking class. So a lot of my skills come from that, and also just playing around. But this bone folder is very old, and it has lasted a very long time, and it's one of the few things that I still have from college. But it works really well. All right, so we have that piece on. Now, in this one, we have that piece tucked in, and then what I did is I took a flap and put it on the back of that to create this. So that would mean that we're gonna do something like this. I don't wanna use that one, it's just too matchy. If it was this way, I guess it wouldn't match at all. It would be like that. And like that. That's too matchy. Yeah, so let's just eliminate that. This one, I do kind of like that. With that, that's an option. Let's just try this one just to see what it would look like. That's not bad either. You know what? I think I'm going to go with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue here on the inside of the flap this time. And then I'm going to glue it here. So I'm just going to line things up really well there. Make sure that I can still fold over. That's looking good. And then we're just going to lay it out and use the bone folder to set that, nurse that glue in with it. Okay. Now, on this one, that's where I stopped. Because these inner envelopes are made from cardstock, and then once you put cardstock like photos, it's going to really build up. Because these are thinner envelopes, I think I can do a little bit more, and I do have 2 with the triangle kind of flaps, and then 2 with the rectangle. So I'm going to put these to the side, and I want to think about how I can incorporate this. Now, what I could do is I could put another flap here. And so it would look like this, but you can see it's not closing well. It's starting to get built too up. So I know that's not an option there. I could do something like this. Let's put that there and let's see how that folds. That works better. It's not going to be too built up. So that's an option, to have something that kind of folds out like that. Let me see what the other pattern, if I did that, I would use this one. I just think it looks a little bit better. So let's go with that. Let's make one that kind of folds out like this. So we're going to do the outside of this. And we're going to place it down again. And let's make sure again that top and bottom are pretty close and that this is really kind of sandwiched to the edge. There, it doesn't go over too far, it isn't in too far. Okay, so I'll just, sometimes I like to just do it on both sides just to make sure. So, see what we have so far. We open this up, we have a pocket here, put something there, we have something there. This opens up like this, and this opens up like that. Now I have one more triangle envelope, and I think I want to fill in this space a little bit more. We do have that, which helps compensate for some of this, but I think we can add something here. So, a couple different options. We could do something like this, where it opens up like that. We could do something like that. I think I like this. So it would be like that, and then you open up to there. So I'm going to do glue on the back of that flap. And then we're going to place this down. The same thing we did with the other side. Let's make sure the edges are flush. Do like this. And then I'll just do like this to make sure it's secured. Okay, so I used all of those triangle flaps there. And what I was thinking was that I could make a little pocket on the back where you can tuck these in. Maybe you can pull this out, have something inside it, a photo, memory or something. And then you just kind of take these out and I just create something on the back. So that way I'm using all those envelopes and I've got lots of storage space. And by putting it here on the back, I'm not going to put too much on the inside, but it gives me more space for my memories or my photos or my journaling papers. So this is just going to stay like this. We put that to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for something to create a pocket right here. About that big. It can be a piece of scrap paper, or let's actually look in the Dolce Vita book and see. Now, I do remember there being some things like this. These are bookmarks. I could like cut a piece of that. That would be nice. I thought there were also, these borders are kind of small and they're just stickers. So it's probably want to be, and I want it to be a thicker piece of paper. This is going to be too thin. It's not going to hold those very well. It's going to need to be something thick. So we have the bookmark option to cut that up. These are hard, but they're kind of full pictures. Let's see what else we have that's hard. think the only option is to use the bookmark because everything else I don't want to cut up. I could also, over here, this is the cover. Whoops. I could cut here, cut a strip from this. I mean, I am all about using as much as I can. So let's just look at what that would actually look nice if I like, let's see, I'm off camera. If I cut a strip, let's say it would have to be like maybe center this, and that would sit there. Let's do that. I think that would look nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut out a piece right here from the cover to put here as that. So I did cut my piece. I kind of just did it by hand because I wanted to keep the cover of my book kind of to protect what's inside. It's a little uneven here, so I'll just grab my paper cutter and just kind of even that out and make sure it's nice and straight so it looks nice and neat when we add it there. So I'm just going to scoot this over, make sure it's lined up there, and then just trim it. See, it wasn't that bad, but just, you know, to make it extra nice, we're going to do that. So here we are with the back, and that fits nicely. I am going to round those corners. That's just how I like to make my pockets. I think it just makes it look a little bit neater. So I have my corner cutter right here. And I'm just going to put it there like that. That's just my personal preference. Sometimes I just do the top and leave the bottom normal, but I like it like this. I think the buildings are nicely centered there. And then what's going to happen is I'm just going to glue the very bottom and the tiniest bit on the side so that we can tuck this into there like that. So let's get our glue. Oh, that's kind of neat too. This is the other side. I like how that blue brings in from this. You know what? I think, and this is textured, that brings a little extra. So I think I'm actually going to have this side be the one that's facing up. Both would work nicely, but now that I see that, sometimes nice accidents happen. Okay, so we're just going to very thinly, and I'm not going to go all the way to the top. I'm only going to go about halfway. There, there, and then very thinly at the very edge here. And that's going to create a little pocket to tuck this into. Okay, so I have it placed where I want it. Where did I put my bone folder? Oh, that's what fell on the ground. Here we go. Okay, and we're just going to make sure that's all good. Now, I can't show you right now because I want that to dry a little bit longer, but basically it will sit in there like that and give you more space to do things. Okay, so the last thing that I want to think about is, do I just want to leave it kind of like this, or do I want something to hold it together? In this book, I did do a magnet. It's shown here, but then it's hidden behind this. And I think when, you know, things start to get thick, it's nice to have a closure on there. So I think what I want to do is kind of build a little strip here to go around that. So what will happen is, because these envelopes are here, we're going to glue down the strip here, and then the magnet will be here. So you open it this way, just so that it doesn't create extra bulk there with the magnet. So let's go back to the Paper Love book and see what I can use for that strap. Again, you know, I want it to kind of be thicker because that magnet is there, and that's where my choices kind of get limited. Although, I'm trying to like think through, yeah, I want it to be thick so that it stays sturdy. So I think I'm gonna have to use one of these bookmarks. Let's see. Okay, same design on both sides, yeah, okay. So what one, kind of like this, because it kind of ties in this kind of look again. I think I want to go with this one. So let's pop that one out. Actually, I'll do that off camera because it's a little awkward. I'm going to knock everything over. Okay, so here it is popped out. It does have this little thing where you would like put a tassel or something like that. So we're not going to use that. And looking at this, what I want to go with is 2 of these here, and then I'll bend it, and I'll have 1 showing here, and then 2 on the back. So we're going to cut it right there. And since it's a small thing, I can probably just use my scissors to cut this pretty well. Okay, it does have rounded corners, so I'm going to go ahead and round these. They might not match perfectly, but it will be close enough that it won't be too noticeable. There we go. So there is our piece that is going to be used as the strap here. So I want to then make my scores so that I can bend this. And the only place I need to score is here and here, right next to the middle piece. So let's grab the scoreboard. And I'm going to line it up here, and I'm going to make a score right there. That's going to be right next to the edge of that one. This is thicker, so I'm going to go a couple times, and then this one is going to be right here. Okay, take this away, and let's just make sure that's nice. And scored well so it folds nicely. So there we go. That is going to go like this. Now that I'm looking at this, I feel like we're going to put a magnet here and a magnet here, but maybe I want to hide it on this side. So maybe I can find something from the book to put here to hide it under. Maybe like a tag, just to add another like layering element. Or I could make the cover one of these. Postcards. There's a couple I had left over from before. It looks, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the cover have one of these. I think that's what I'm going to do here. 2 very different looks here. This is way more simple. I like the mojito one. But I think I might go with the oranges, just so it's not, you know, if I end up putting pictures of my kids in here, I don't want a mojito thing. I'll just go with the oranges. So I'm going to glue this down here, but first I'll place my magnet there. So let's get this postcard out of here to use. And I do like to trim these perforated sides just so it looks a little bit neater. And I think I'm also going to use my corner cutter to make the edges a little bit round. So let's just trim off these really quick. Just the tiniest bit so that you don't see that perforation. There you go. It just looks a little bit neater there. Okay, so that's trimmed. Actually, this did not trim well. I'm going to go a little bit further in on this because it's still showing a little bit. That's more of like the nature of this card, the way it's cutting. I'm just going to trim with the scissors. Now I'm going to have to trim just a little bit deeper to get that not to show. There we go. Same thing with this side. Now that I look at it up close, I'm just going to have to go in further to fully get rid of that perforation. There we go. Okay. Let's get the corner cutter. There we go. And so that's going to go here. It's going to hide that magnet. And then this is going to go over it like that. All right, so let me grab my magnet and I'm going to go ahead off camera and glue down this piece and show you how to put the magnet on. Okay, so I just did that off camera. It's pretty self-explanatory, so this video isn't too long. So now we have this here. Now I know this is going to go here like this, but to hide the magnet, we have to put it under there. So to make the magnets line up, I take my minus and my plus, doesn't matter which side is which, and I am going to take it off and stick it where I want there, and then take this piece off, and then it won't stick to the exact spot that it needs to. So let's take off the plus side, a little bit of a tongue twister, plus sign side. And I'm just going to place this here. This one is going to be visible. Press that down real nicely, and then we're going to take it off and it's going to stick there. So now I'm taking off the minus sign sticker. And then make sure that my fold is lined up so that we get that nice spacing in there. And then we're just going to stick that down. And now you see it matches up perfectly when you do that. Now you can see the perforation line on this one. It doesn't bother me too much. Just felt like if I trimmed it anymore, it would just start to be really tiny. So now what we need to do to hide that is just simply line that up, glue that down, and then it is hidden behind there. All right, so let's go ahead and get some glue on this side. And then place this down. And the bone folder to make sure that it's straight and that it's nice and glued down. Okay, there we go. So here's the book again. lots of tuck spots and things where you can put things, glue some photos or scrapbook items. But you have lots of spaces, and I officially used all the envelopes that were in the La Dolce Vita book. And then I think lastly, maybe I'll just take a look and think to myself, is there anything embellishment wise that I want to add now before I start to put photos and add more things? So you can see the lines here a lot. I feel like I want something to cover that a little bit. And I'm going to go back to some of these cutouts they have. The circle's not going to work. That's not going to cover much. I'm thinking maybe a postcard to kind of cover that as much as I can. Just look back at the postcards again. Don't want to do alcohol themed. I do have these. I think might look nice. Let's just take them apart real quick and take a look. So I could line that up there where you still are able to tuck something in here. It just kind of covers some of that messiness with the lines from there. I think I like that. I like the red in this. I don't want as much like the blue. All right, so I am going to, I feel like with this one, I'm okay with the perforation marks because they're on 3 sides. And it kind of gives some texture, but I do think I want to do my corners again. So we'll go ahead, do the corners. And then we're going to glue it right here. So with this, I only want to glue about to here so that I can still kind of lift this up and tuck. So I'm going to say to about like this line here, I'm going to glue. So I'm actually going to lay it here so you get kind of a visual. I'll be about right there. So let's get some glue on here. Get my edges first. And then a little bit on the inside. And I totally messed that up. You see what I did? I did it on the wrong side. So can I put this somewhere else? Because I already put glue on it. Because I messed up. We all make mistakes. I don't want to cover that pretty look here, but oh, I could put it here because I like that it covers that a little bit. That's an option. Or I could put it, I think it works a little bit better here and it covers that. So we're going to put it here because I put the glue on the wrong side, and then we'll get a different one for that. See, this is real life. We all make mistakes. Sometimes I kind of have to just figure out, replan, do something different. So that's on there, and now you can very much still tuck your photo into there. Okay, let's go back to that one that I wanted to cover. I mean, this isn't terrible. There is some blue there. Definitely like that better. Yeah, let's just go with that. So I have to do this right now. I have to think, right? I'm going to do my corners again, but it's going to be glued here. So I'm going to remember postcard side with the little stamp. So let's do corners first. Sometimes with this corner cutter, if you don't get it in there just right, it doesn't cut it right, but then you can adjust and it will work. Okay, so we're going to glue that there, and I'm going to leave the perforations. That's fine for this. So again, let's remember postcard side. So let's do to about here. Get our edges. And glue this one down. Okay. Everything can still close well. And I think that's the embellishing that I'm going to do for now. And I'll start to add some more things in a little bit later when I actually put pictures in here. But I think this has turned out really nice. I'm happy I used all the envelopes, including this, which I don't want to tuck it in because I want to let that, for me, I don't put photos in or put any tuck pieces in until it's been 24 hours. It just, you know, maybe that's a random number. It's not on the glue saying you have to wait that long, but for me, that's how much I like to wait. So this will be tucked into here. And I probably would do it this way. And then I can put some photos in there. So this is a nice book that you could put, you know, scraps, memories, things that you collected, concert tickets. If you went to Italy, you know, maybe you put your like plane ticket in there and tickets to museums and things that you went to, and then you can have spots to put photos and different things that you've collected on your trip. You know, that's what's nice about these envelopes, is that you can like tuck whatever you want, and that I made this allowance here will give you that space to kind of fill it with all kinds of things. So that came out really nice. I'm not sure what I'll use it for because I have not been to Italy, and well, I think it's lovely, and one of the places I'd like to go eventually. It's not one of the top ones. I have some other ones, so I'll figure out what I'm using this for. Probably for like summer memories or something like that, because it's a very summery style of book. So thank you for watching part 2 of my making books from the envelopes in the La Dolce Vita. Envelopes are really easy to use. I feel like you can construct really easily. You can do a lot of fun interactive things. Here's all the different ones I've ever made. Oh, and this one as well, which is a hardcover with a ribbon tie on it. So you can do lots of things. But so far, we can say that from La Dolce Vita paper book, I have made these 2 envelope books, which came out really nice. So thanks for watching. I'll be back with a video. I think I'm going to do a wrap-up of what I made from Dee Dee's Deluxe box. It's a jewelry making bead box. I have one from May, and I've been making a lot of things from it, so I'll do kind of a wrap-up video as you've seen on some of the other videos I've made. And then we'll come back and do more stationery, scrapbooking, paper crafts after that video. So I hope you enjoyed this, and you give it a thumbs up that you like the video, and that you subscribe so you can keep seeing some of the things that I make, both with paper and with jewelry and beads. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.